Welcome back to the 5% Club. I'm Shayla King, a former C-suite executive turned business and life coach. And this is the podcast for leaders who want it all. The promotions, the paychecks, and luxurious amounts of time for the things that matter most. Each week, I'm going to teach you from my performance and happiness formula what it takes to rise to the top without burnout and overwhelm. Work less, make more, and design a life you love. That's what we do in the 5% Club. Let's go. It is the 1st of June, which means you survived Maysember. Congratulations, my friend. If you're like the women that I coach, you now have a summer plan. So camps are booked and kids' activities are all covered, right? You've got your team's vacation requests approved. You probably even did the one big family trip that you plan to do this summer. But my question is, what is your summer going to look like? What have you designed in intentionally for yourself as the main character? That's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome back to the 5% Club podcast. I'm Shayla King, your favorite coach for women who design their lives on purpose. So, real quick update. I mentioned that the Performance and Happiness Lab has closed its doors for a pre-enrollment period. And so that group is actually going to start up live together September 14th. You'll have one more chance to join in early September. So if you're not already on the wait list, go to shaylaking.com. You can join there. But I want to brag on this group for a second. We've got a chief legal officer in this cohort, operations leaders, internal audit, government affairs, senior HR leaders. We've got women from global organizations, including the UN. These women are at the top of their fields, and every one of them has decided that she wants her career and her life. Not someday, but now. And so this group is just phenomenal. And I do want to point out the one thing that I got asked over and over and over again, regardless of level, it was, do I belong? And it's really simple. You don't join because you already have everything figured out. You join because you've had some success in some areas, and some areas still feel like there's room to grow. Some areas still feel difficult or hard or challenging, and you don't need another pep talk kind of training. You want a room that supports you of other women that get it, and that's what it is. So just wanted to mention that really quick in case you are one of the people holding on to join us in September. This is for any woman in corporate America who's making $150K or more and wants to be a high-performing and happy executive. So we hope to see you in there. And between now and our next enrollment period, I have some fun things planned for all of you. I love doing this podcast because I'm able to share so much with you. And I want to talk to you about some of the ideas that I have. And then I really want to get your feedback on what you want to hear the most. What pieces do you need in your career, in your life right now to help you get to the 5% level? So I want you to leave me a review wherever you follow. So if it's Apple, if it's YouTube, or if you're on Spotify, and I want you to leave me a review and tell me what episodes you've liked the most, and then tell me what you still want to hear. Let me know what those subjects are, and I'll read every one of them and start incorporating them this summer. But some of the things I already know I have planned that I think you will be so excited about. One is my New York City surprise. Still not going to tell you what that is, but it's coming soon, so be excited. The first celebrity podcast is coming out, and we really went deep and wide into subjects like the mother wound and in building friendships as an adult, and in the why behind what we do and the good girl complex. So it's going to be such a varied and deep episode with somebody who has spent years and years and years working solely with women on these topics. So really excited to introduce that podcast episode to you as well. And then I get asked about two things that have nothing to do with each other all the time. So I'm going to create some content for you about it. One is my wellness routine. And so I'm going to lean into that and talk to you about it. If you don't know, historically, I had yo-yoed my entire life with my weight and with my health, and I was all or nothing. And I always had that pendulum swinging one way or the other. And using the tools that I learned in coaching, I was able to really narrow in what works best for me. And I have now been consistent at it for, over like 4 years now. And I lost 35 pounds and kept it off. But more than that, I have 4 autoimmune diseases, and I've learned how to calm them down, how to truly create my personal recipe that makes me perform and feel at my best. And I have trial and errored a million things. And what I found is some simple, consistent things that make me have a completely different quality of life than I would have if I didn't take care of myself in this way. And it's because I learned to take myself seriously. I learned to take my health and wellness seriously. And so you guys ask me about that all the time. So I'm going to dip into that and we'll do some wellness topics this summer, which will be great. So let me know what you're interested in. Do you want to know? We already did the sleep hacks, but if you want to know about workout routines, about food, about supplements, about peptides, let me know what area is most interesting to you and I will do a deep dive for you. The other topic I think is so fun has absolutely nothing to do with wellness, and it's AI tips. If you don't know, I use AI consistently in my business. And so I love to talk about AI with leaders because we often don't even understand all the different ways that in our regular everyday life we can incorporate it. So that's another topic. If there's something that's a subset of AI that you really want to learn, put that in your comment on your review as well so that I can know that and make sure that we cover that with you. And we'll talk about AI uses. I literally use it for everything. So I'll talk about every that I use it in the business that you could also use in corporate America, but I'll also talk to you about ways that I use it for fun. I use it for interior decorating. I use it for my personal style. I use it for lots of research and just kind of fun and unique ways. So we'll go through all of that together. So all of that is coming this summer, which I think is so fun. And I'm crowdsourcing what you want to hear. We're also going to host some workshops around how to outsource in your life so that you can buy time back. We're going to do it around AI and we're going to do it around how to dress for success as an executive. And so make sure you're on the wait list if you're not, so that you get those invites to those workshops that will be coming out as well. All right. So many of you have messaged me and said that you've listened to every single episode, every single one. And I don't take that for granted. I want to make sure that this show is exactly what you need. So leave me the review. Tell me what you love most and tell me what you want to hear more of. Those reviews really are the number one way that women find this podcast, and they mean so much to me. Like, honestly, it makes me very proud, and I'm like reading them to my family. So grateful for those, truly. Thanks. Okay, let's talk about the subject for today. Last week, we had our epic year check in. So let me explain what that is because it's the heart of everything I'm going to tell you. So every January, the women in my epic year group comes together for a 1-day retreat. We sit down and we design the year on purpose. Now, these aren't resolutions. We are designing in epic adventures, epic goals, and epic memories. It's how you first put in the things that are going to make you have an extraordinary life. And then we put them in on the calendar. And we check in 2 times a year to see how it's really going. And we just did one of those check ins last week. So we're 5 months in. We've got 5 down and 7 to go. And I watched that number land on people 2 different ways. Some heard the year's half gone, I missed it. And some heard I've still got most of it in front of me. And I want you to be in that second group. You've not missed the year. 7 months isn't the leftover, 7 months is a runway. You can still have an absolutely epic year. So here's the pattern that I see nearly every woman I work with. It's not that you're bad at planning, you're extraordinary at planning. You plan everyone else's life, the camps, the carpools, the dentist, the holidays, the team offsite. You run the whole operation, but you put yourself dead last on the list. And here's the part no one says out loud. Some days you resent it. You love them and you can still resent it. Both are true. That's not a time problem. That's a positioning problem. You position yourself last at work and you position yourself last at home. It's the same pattern in 2 different rooms. And you keep telling yourself you'll get to your own life when things slow down. So let me be the one to say it. Things don't slow down. They don't, ever. So let me tell you about a woman in the group. She spent 17 years at the same company. This year, she made a huge move and took a new role. Bigger, better, everything she wanted. But the new job came with a lot less vacation time. So she did what a lot of us do. She used the limited time as the reason to commit to nothing. No trip books, no plans made, waiting. And then her son looks at her and says, "Mom, where are we going this summer?" And she realizes the last day of school is here and the calendar is empty. She figured something out in that room. She was waiting, waiting for the schedule to get clear, waiting to see what came up. And while she waited, summer was quietly disappearing. So her epic move coming out of that call was simple: book the trip. Put what she wants on the calendar first and build the rest of her life around it, not the other way around. You do not find the time, you take it. And we've got to schedule the big rocks first. Okay. Here's another one. And this is the one I really want my corporate women to hear. A woman in the group had a panel interview, one of those high stakes case study presentations, you know the kind. They hand you a complex case and you present it to a panel. And they only gave her the case on a Friday and she had to present it on a Monday. Now, here's what makes this real. That same weekend, she had tickets to her 12-year-old daughter's very first concert for her birthday. It was 2 hours away. It's been planned since Christmas. And the daughter also had volleyball all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So the weekend was full, and the presentation was Monday. Most women in that exact moment do one of two things. They either cancel on the kid and they resent the job, or they go to the concert and tell themselves the presentation's just going to suck. She did neither. Because value and time are two different things. You don't need every hour to do something extraordinary. So she's one of my one-on-one clients, and we coach through the fact that she can decide exactly how long and when she wants to work on it. And she does not have to say, "I guess it'll just be as good as it is. I guess we'll just see how it goes. I don't know if it's going to work or not." No, we decided ahead of time that it was going to be extraordinary in a narrow amount of time because she's good at focusing. She knows what matters most. And so she's going to decide not how many hours she has to work on it, how many hours she has to make herself proud of it and feel complete. And that's what she did. So she went to the concert without focusing at all on the work stuff. And then she went to volleyball. It was a tournament all day long. She left during the middle game, went to Starbucks. That's when she worked on her presentation. She went back to volleyball. She came back to it Sunday, did something similar, right? And so when she got to it, she no longer said, "Well, I focused on my kids, so I guess this is as good as it gets." She goes, "No, I had exactly the amount of time that I needed to make this extraordinary, and that's what I did." Right? What is so common to happen in a situation like this is for a leader to say, "This is non-standard. I'm not interviewing all the time. I don't typically get this much pressure and a short deadline. So I'm just going to have to let my family know I have to cancel and I've got to work on this." That's all or nothing thinking. That's not how a 5%er thinks. A 5%er says, "Okay, I have this project going on. I have this family priorities going on. How do I want to approach both?" And we say, "Okay, here's what I want to do. I want the concert non-negotiable. That's really important to me. And I don't want to be daydreaming about anything else. So I'm going to read through the case study fully and I'm going to work on it for an hour before I go to the concert. And then I'm going to set it aside because I already know when I have the other times booked to work on it." And then when it comes to the case, I'm not going to half-ass do that either and say, "Oh, well, I prioritize my family. So you win some, you lose some. That's why I didn't get this role." No, we're going to say, "I don't need that long to figure this out. When can I carve out a couple of hours to be able to work on this and present it in a way that I know will be most effective?" It's not one or the other, it's both. And this nuance, I think, is so incredibly important and so rarely talked about. So rarely talked about. I keep hearing people all the time saying, "You just have to hustle. And if you gave a shit about your career, you would just hustle." Or, "Don't let the man use you. That's your time. That's your off time. And they shouldn't expect you to ever check your phone afterwards." It's not how we think about things in the 5% club. We're realist and we care about both. And that means that sometimes at night we're working on work, and sometimes during the day we're tending to our children. That is how real life works. And you can make it work. But you've got to slow down and be intentional about it. Make sense? Okay. Let me share with you just a couple more moments from our check in. So, this summer, plans are going to fall apart. I promise you they will. In our check in, one woman's trip to Morocco fell through at the last minute when she was already on kind of a little world tour. She got sick and the logistics got complicated. And another woman's a spa venue that was for her dream girls' trip got canceled. And no one in that room spiraled because we practice one question when the plan breaks. What was I actually going for? Underneath the place and the date and the itinerary, what feeling was I after? Because you can engineer that feeling 100 different ways. Morocco became extra days in a city that she loved and a reason to go back. The spa moved up the mountain to a better place. And in a golf trip ended up moving to a different time of year when it worked out better for everyone involved. So when your summer goes sideways, and I promise you it will, don't be devastated. Just ask yourself, what feeling was I going for, and how can I recreate that in another way? You design joy in. You don't hope it slides in between meetings and carpool because it won't. Joy loses to the urgent every single time that it's not protected. So I want you to take the time. You put it on the calendar first. You build the rest of your life around it. And when it changes, you chase the feeling, not the itinerary. And it doesn't all have to be big. One of my favorite things on my list one year was a clay class. It was 3 hours. The whole thing took 3 hours out of my entire year. I never even picked up the piece that I made. But I looked forward to going and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Small counts, delightful counts, and a little frivolous counts. It all goes on the calendar. So let me talk to you a little bit about how I'm designing my own summer. So this year, I'm working 2 days a week. Now, first, I feel like I want to give you a disclaimer before I even start. So, I thought about whether or not I wanted to share this with you because I understand that now that I am out of corporate and an entrepreneur and have my own company, that affords me a couple of things. And freedom and choice in my schedule is I have more of it than I had in corporate. That's for sure. For sure. Um, and obviously, it comes with a lot more responsibility when your paycheck doesn't just come every 2 weeks. It only comes if you can continue to build the business. And so there's, pros and cons with entrepreneurship. And I have never been one who believes you have to leave corporate to love your life. I redesigned my life while I was still in corporate. I've told you this, but I've worked less and less and less. And I kept making more and more and more and getting promoted to the C suite without missing one of my daughter's birthdays. And I did it wrong for years. I was a complete workaholic. But using the performance and happiness formula, I really turned things around. And so I want you to know that what I'm about to tell you is what I can afford to do now as an entrepreneur. Okay. But I want you to see inspiration from it. I want you to see, well, how could I incorporate something like this into my current life, knowing that I have these limitations, knowing that I have to be in office 5 days a week, knowing that I have to be there by 8 o'clock. You can still take inspiration from something, even if it doesn't fit perfectly. And I think that enough of you have asked to hear more about my real life because I've truly designed an extraordinary, beautiful life that I love, that I'm going to start unapologetically telling you about it. And I'm just going to assume that all of my lovely community can understand that I'm not telling you that you should be able to do things the same way as me while you're still in corporate, but that you can take some inspiration for tweaks and things that you want to add in your life. Sound fair? Okay. So, I'm going to tell you about how I'm designing my own magical summer. So, this year I am working 2 days a week. Two, because we just built a pool that you guys know I'm very excited about. And I want luxurious amounts of time in it with my kids. The older ones are home from college. My high schoolers are almost gone. And that window doesn't come back. So, here's my week. Monday is me Monday. I owe absolutely nothing to anyone. I do whatever I want. A luxurious day that's just mine. Tuesdays, I work hard, and I mean hard. On Tuesday, I always hold the Performance and Happiness Lab, a team meeting, a vendor meeting, a full slate of coaching clients. And I write my newsletter, a social post, and my podcast. Wednesdays are for life. So we've got doctor's appointments, we've got errands, we've got running the kids anywhere that they want to go. All of the logistics of life happen on Wednesdays. And on Thursdays, I work again. This is a little bit more of the creative work. So this is when I record podcasts and other videos. And this is where I have meetings with my coach. And I see a few clients on Thursdays as well, but not as many. This is more of deep work and creative work on my behalf. And so it's a little bit of a lighter set of clients on Thursdays. And then Friday is Family Friday. And I'm so excited about this. This one I am protective of. My girls are not allowed to have any sleepovers. They're not allowed to work. They have to be home and present. And in the morning, we hit the gym or a hike, and then we go to brunch. It's what I like to call forced family fun, and I think they secretly love it. And I have told them about how this entire summer we are going to be doing that and how wildly excited about it that I am. And we just had our first one last Friday, and it really was everything that I'd hoped it'd be. Now, I had to pause a few times because, sisters still fight and there's a little bit of that bickering. So remind yourself too, when you get a dream in your head on how beautiful something's going to be, that it doesn't work out like a Lifetime movie in person. So we had a great time and had some great moments, but there was also like, who gets the front seat and I don't know why you rolled your eyes at me and that kind of stuff like still happens with kids. So that is part of it. And I know that you can be, and then Saturday and Sunday, of course, are off and our time for family and friends. And I know you could be thinking, Shayla, that's nice, life, but I have a real job. So, as I mentioned before, it's not about following that same plan that I'm following this summer, but instead it's about understanding what could be possible for you. And this is only possible for me because of one thing: essentialism. When I work, and I always do what I say I'm going to do. But more than that, I got ruthless about what actually deserves my time. I had to figure out how to fit 4 days of work into two. And the only way you do that is by deciding what's essential and cutting the rest without apology. And this is exactly how I run it with my corporate clients. A woman comes to me working 50 or 60 hours a week and she's drowning. And we don't start by asking how to do it all faster or like what productivity hack she needs. We start by asking what actually matters. What are the big projects your organizations truly value? The ones that are connected to the vision, the ones that increase revenue, reduce costs, or move the culture. Those are the projects that you get paid for. So we make her extraordinary at those. Then we get ruthless about everything else. So here's the filter, and I want you to run every task through it. Does it increase revenue? Does it reduce cost? Or does it have a real effect on your clients getting better results faster? Or does it affect culture? If the answer is no, and culture is a slippery one because not every company will pay for culture. So it's just important that you're being honest if you're working on culture, that you're working on it for you and not for the company, unless you just happen to work for a company that actually pays for culture. My experience has been you could get paid 100K for your base job working 40 hours a week, and you could spend 20 hours a week on a project that has to do with culture, and you are not getting 50,000 for that, right? You're going to get a $500 and a trophy. But there could be another project that you work on that makes a huge impact for the company's top line, and maybe you do get a $20,000 bonus for that, right? So just knowing that ahead of time and saying, is this a pet project? Does it have real impact? Or is this me being the good girl? Thinking that if I'm the one that volunteers, that then they'll promote me. Or that if I don't volunteer, then they'll think I'm not a team player. We've got to get really clean and clear about that because you should be working on things that drive profit. It's revenue and cost, right? Revenue and cost is what I'm working on affect revenue or cost. And then for me, I always think about, does this thing that I'm working on, because I build a lot of new content, does it help my clients get results faster? And you get bigger, better results faster. And you will have your version of a client as well, whether it's an internal customer or an external customer, and thinking about that. But even that lens, I still base it off of, if you're at a regular company, not just will they like it more, but will they pay more for it? That is how you know they value it. If they just tell you that they like the feature you're adding or they like the solution you're adding, but they're not willing to pay more for it, then that's where the rubber meets the road. That means they don't value it as much as you think they do. And if they're not willing to pay for it, then why would your company pay you for it? Make sense? I know it's some of those hard truths that not everybody likes to hear, but Sometimes that good girl comes up and we want to be liked and helpful and say yes so nobody's uncomfortable. And you got to cut it, all of it, and watch what happens. That 50, 60 hours collapse down to 25 or 30. The needle moving work gets done better than before and people notice. And now you've got time back that you never had before. Time to build the relationships that get your name in the right rooms. Time to actually think about strategy instead of reacting all day, and time to develop yourself. Because a sharper version of you that makes faster, better decisions, that's what the business needs. That's how you become the obvious choice for more. And I think that's really important for us to know because when we develop ourselves and we continually work on how we view the world, so this is not only economic thinking, but this is a lot of, I say that the most successful and happiest people know how to manage their mind. When you have better thoughts, you get better answers. You get better results on the things that you're working on, and you're able to make higher level decisions quicker. So you have to have time to develop your brain, to develop the way that you're thinking about things in life. Make sense? Okay, so we got to get that time back, and you only do it by starting to get ruthless about saying no to things that aren't driving revenue or reducing cost. All right, so what buys you that epic life at home? It's the same skill, but you've got to use it in both rooms. So I don't do everything with my kids. I do the things that I think are going to add the most value for them and for me. I'm not cooking 7 days a week, nor do I feel any burden to, right? So you've got to figure out what matters the most to you on how you want to design your life and what you want to be possible. So here's what I'd like for you to do this week. Two things. First, the calendar. Open it and ask yourself the real questions. What do I actually want this summer? What matters to me most? What would extraordinary look like for me? It doesn't have to be a pool or a 2-day work week, right? But maybe it's one weekend trip a month on a road trip with your family. Maybe it's a forced family fun on Friday nights. Order the pizza and pull out board games. Or maybe you finally learn to make pizza from scratch. What would make this epic summer for you? Decide and then put 3 of those things in the calendar first. Block them, name them, protect them, tell your family. Second, the work. Look at your week and run the filter: revenue, cost, culture, client. Find one thing you're doing out of good girl habit that passes none of that test and let it go. That's how you're able to make the change. Because what you aren't changing, you're choosing. So here's what I want you to walk out with. You have not missed the year. Only 5 months down, 7 months to go. That's plenty of runway for an epic life. You can take the time instead of waiting for it. You can be ruthless about what matters so you finally have the room. You can have both extraordinary, not one or the other. And when the plan breaks, you can chase the feeling and rebuild it. It's the career and the life, both. During the climb, not at some finish line that never comes, but during the climb. So design your summer, put yourself in it, main character, and join us. This is going to be an epic summer for all of us 5%ers, and I cannot wait to hear all the fun things that you are doing. So add your review. Let me know what else you want to hear about this summer. And when you do your epic adventures and your epic things this summer, or how you redesign your life, will you shoot me a note on LinkedIn and tell me all about it? I would love to hear about it. All right, friends, I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for joining me in the 5% Club today. If you're ready to make more, work less, and design a life you love, then go to shaylaking.com and join the waitlist. You'll be the first to know when there's openings to work with me in one-on-one coaching or the Performance and Happiness Lab, my group container where you will learn to be a high-performing, highly paid executive who loves your whole life. I'll see you there.